Hey everyone, I'm going to show you something that's probably going to be very scary for you, just a little bit. Now, the reason I'm saying this is because I've been dealing with this my entire life, so I have kind of picked up a few things over the years, and this is why I do radio shows and things like that, is to help others to understand the game and the little things that they do, little tricks that they pull. And what I'm talking about is demonic activity. And the reason I say this is because most people in the paranormal and ghost hunting and whatever you call it seem to think that everything is little girl or old woman related and all that stuff when it really isn't. And sometimes I like to tell people this is the things that they pull, these are the things that they do. So it kind of helps those who have problems or to understand what you're really dealing with. And it can be very, very disconcerting. It can be very frightening. And it's something I'm going to show you and talk to you about that's coming up. Stick around.
And now we interrupt, disrupt, and crash this station.
The man fighting for peace, his legacy, truth in a sea of stupid.
Filtered for your sarcastic enjoyment, Ghost Getter.
I'm going to show you 5 videos that are really going to be frightening in a lot of ways, but I'm using them as a teaching tool to help you understand them. I believe 99% that these videos are real, and the reason I'm saying this is because I've had experience with this my entire life, and I'm still having issues with it today. And there's a calling card or a mode or a mojo or motto or ways that they do things. And I'm talking about demonic activity here. And that lets you know that's who they are and this is what they do. This is the way they do things. And for them to fake that, they would either have to be involved with it their entire life, know how it works personally, or have complete knowledge of it in a way where they would understand how to do it. This is why I don't think these videos are fake. Now, the people behind them may, one of them is Ghost Adventures. I don't agree with what they do. I'm not here to attack them, but I am here to say that they have lack of knowledge. Just because they've been doing TV shows for eons, they show their lack of knowledge and their inexperience in knowing a lot of what these are. I'm not saying they're inexperienced in ghost hunting. What I'm saying is their inexperience and their lack of knowledge of knowing how it works and who they are and what they are and how they work. And this is why I say that they're not capable. And that's not an attack. It's just to say that there are these ghost groups out there that automatically assume that it's what this is, but they can't answer the question when I ask them, where did you get it from? Where did you learn this? Who taught you that this is what it is? Who taught you that it is a little girl ghost? Who taught you that it is an old woman that owned the house? Who taught you this? Just because you learned from paperwork or doing history research that that's who owned the house or that's who been there previously does not mean it's not demonic. And I'm saying this because they have been around for thousands of years and they know the history of the people that have lived in the house. They know how they work. They know how to imitate voices. They know how to, they got all this information way before you have. So that's not really an answer or an excuse of why you, or how you know this. Who taught you this? So there's a lot of questions that I do ask that are unanswered. And when they are unanswered and they do not have a specific reason behind it or answer behind it, then that tells me that they do not have the knowledge. They have lack of experience when it comes to things like this. And I find this quite a bit around the paranormal. So I'm here to show you the videos and explain them to you. And like I said, they're going to be quite creepy for you. But I'm going to give you an answer that's going to fit a lot better than what people in this field tell you. This is going to connect it a lot better than a lot of these ghost hunters do. So let's get with it. And keep in mind, for those of you that file a complaint with YouTube, these are not my videos. I'm saying that I'm using them for teaching tool purposes only. So these are done by specific people, and they're their videos, and they have the rights to them and all that stuff. So let's get that out of the way. First of all, not my videos, they're theirs. Just use them for teaching tools. So here we go. Number 5 on this list of scary videos that I've seen that tell me that it's demonic. Number 5.
What's wrong, Aaron?
My whole body is tingly. This is the 3rd time I've got tingle feeling.
We all just heard and felt the vibrations of an extremely loud banging sound, as if something was pounding on this plywood. But the really chilling part was this high-pitched, creepy singing that followed. We felt at this point we were being tormented by dark, unseen forces. Our guard was extremely heightened from this point on.
This is the 3rd time I've got tingle feeling. Tingle feeling. Tingle feeling.
Now, when I explained before, and I mentioned this on my show before, their lack of experience, their lack of knowledge, there's a particular part in this show where they happen to tell the demon, are you trying to drain the D-volt or 8-volt batteries out of my camera or whatever to get the energy enough to fight us? Like demons need battery power to fight human beings. Just shows their lack of knowledge and lack of experience in knowing how these things work. They've been around for thousands of years. They are immortal. They can't be killed. They have powers way beyond your imagination. And if you would think that they would need 8-volt batteries or battery power to take you on, shows your lack of experience. But the reason I brought this video up is because of the song, which they do not seem to mention or understand what it's saying. In this video, you can clearly hear, and you can scroll back if you want to. Well, I'll put it back in here. But in this video, you can clearly hear the song 3 Blind Mice. And by the way, the banging noises that you hear in the video before you hear 3 Blind Mice, that's something they commonly do to get your attention. Once they have your attention, then all bets are off. Once they have your attention, you lost focus on basically anything else, because that's what they want and that's what they expect. Now, this is a taunt to them, because basically they're saying to them that you're blind in understanding what we are, what these are, what we are doing here, what kind of things we are. That's exactly what it's saying. It's saying 3 blind mice, basically taunting these 3 individuals that are walking into this household. There were 3 guys walking into the household and investigating, and this thing was taunting them, telling them 3 blind mice by using a specific voice to, I don't know if they heard it or not. It could be an EVP, but it made the voice what sounded like a little girl, high-pitched voice, whatever. But as soon as I heard that and watched that show years ago, automatically knew exactly what was going on and what they were doing to them. There was also a part in the show where you hear a voice saying you broke in, and they were saying that, so you're mad at us because we came into your house without permission or blah, 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 but we had permission, whatever. And I'm thinking that's not exactly what they're saying, because they knew about you way before you even got into the house. Basically, they're saying is that you have, you've broke the law. You've, how to explain this? You've came into a certain situation where you're not supposed to be doing what you're doing. By God's law, you're the one that broke the rules. You're the one that broke that that law, that unwritten law or that written law, that what you're doing is wrong. What you're doing is not in the right frame of mind in God's eyes, in the right way of doing things. And that's what they were saying. Basically, in the end, what they're saying is, This is on you. This is your fault. You're the one that broke the rules. All bets are off. We can do whatever we want now because it's on you. It's your fault. You're responsible. And as long as it's on you and you're responsible for your own sins and you're responsible for your own mistakes, not listening to what God has told you not to do, then we can do whatever we want. All bets are off because it's your fault. This is something they normally do, is blame you for everything that goes on and not them. It's not their responsibility. It's all you. So basically that's what that is. So going to play the video again and then on to number 4.
But the really chilling part was this high-pitched, creepy singing that followed. We felt at this point we were being tormented by dark, unseen forces. Our guard was extremely heightened from this point on.
This is the third time I've got tingle fever. Tingle fever. Tingle fever.
I'm just coming through the hole first, might be a body in there. What a chance we don't see.
East what so far? East wind.
You get him. You get him. Get him. Jesus, look at that, mate. It's exactly like the one over there, look.
Misty.
This to me was a definite. And there's a couple of reasons why I said this was a definite. One of the reasons is because, EVPs, but there are a few reasons actually. But one of them, number one, for one, there's quite a bit. For one, it is in a dark cave-like tomb tunnel, and that pretty much told me, yeah, because I know from experience, and this is only in theory, but I believe that, when God casts angels out of heaven and down to earth, or however you call it, when he cast them out, when they rebelled against him, and Satan took 2/3, I believe, of angels with him, they have nowhere to go. And being the fact that they hate humans, and they do because they're jealous that God looks upon humans more than they do them, they're jealous and they hate humans. So I'm sure if you hate anybody, you don't want to be around them. You don't want to be around dogs if you hate them. You don't want to be around butterflies if you hate them. You don't want to be around a cold or the flu if you hate it. So if you're going to hate something that much with a passion, where are you going to go? So if you go to Earth, the only place I believe that you could go to are abandoned houses, caves, tunnels, places that no human being would be at. So they'll do whatever it takes, whatever possible, to get rid of you, not be around you, just completely eliminate you. So that's why I believe the Dio song before he passed away, when he made the song My Eyes, it basically explains, what are you doing around me? I don't want you around me. You're not supposed to be even looking for me to begin with. You're not supposed to be investigating me. So what are you doing here? No matter where I go and try to hide, try to run, you always show up searching for me. So hide in places that no one else goes, basic abandoned places. That's why it's always easy to find these things when you go to abandoned houses or abandoned places and people get attacked or they experience things they are not happy with at all. That's why these things happen. Also, and I'm going to bring it up here and mention it, that in the Bible, it talks about this as well. Now let me show you the scripture where it talks about the pig and being cast out. This is very interesting, and I think it coincides with this EVP quite a bit, kind of mocking and laughing in the end, her, and all that stuff, which they thought it was a grunt, but I believe it was a laugh. mocking laugh. So let me show you this Bible scripture and what it says. So in the Bible it says, Mark 5, verse 1, so they came to the other side of the lake, to the region of the Gerasenes. 2, and this is quite interesting, something I've thought was, I don't know why it's doing that. Anyway, 2, and when he came out of the ship immediately, there met him out of the tombs, and keep that in mind, tombs, a man with an unclean spirit who had his dwelling among the tombs. No man could bind him, no, not with chains, because that he had been often bound with fetters and chains, and the chains had been plucked asunder by him, and the fetters broken into pieces. That means nothing can hold them. Neither could any man tame him. 5, and always night and day he was in the mountains and in the tombs, crying and cutting himself with stones. And when he saw Jesus afar off, he ran and worshipped him, and cried with a loud voice and said, What have I to do with thee, Jesus, thou Son of the Most High God? I adjure thee by God, thou torment me not. Because, I screen captured this, and it got a big bar in the middle of it. It's not supposed to do that, but it does anyway, so it's really not listening to anything I say. So, anyway, let me say, for Jesus' distance he ran about down before him. Then he cried out with a loud voice, Leave me alone, Jesus, Son of Most High God. I implore you, by God. This is Mark 5. Do not torment me. 8, for Jesus said unto him, Come out of that man, you unclean spirit. Jesus asked him, What is your name? And he said, My name is Legion, for we are many. He begged Jesus repeatedly not to send them out of the region. 11, there on the hillside a great herd of pigs was feeding, and the demonic spirits begged him, Send us into the pigs, let us enter them. Jesus gave them permission, so the unclean spirits came out and went into the pigs, and then the herd rushed down the steep slope into the lake, and about 2,000 were drowned in the lake. Now the herdsmen ran off and spread the news in the town and the countryside, and the people went out to see what had happened. They came to Jesus and saw the demon-possessed man sitting there, clothed and in his right mind, the one who had the legion, and they were afraid. Those who had seen what had happened to the demon-possessed man reported it. They also told about the pigs. Then they began to beg Jesus to leave their legion, and he was getting into the boat, the man who had been demon-possessed, and asked if he could go with him, and so on and so forth. So the point of that is, even in the Bible, it talks about how Christ took a possessed man and cast the demons out of him into pigs. Several. That's what legion means, several. Which explains another video I have coming up here pretty quickly. But it kind of mocks that. In the EVP, you hear I have a body of a pig, and he grunts and laughs about it like he thinks it's funny. And then, which coincides with the Bible scripture, casting the demons out of a man into a bunch of pigs, basically, who drowned themselves. And these guys were going into a tomb or tunnel of some kind, hidden, and that's when they got this EVP. So it was kind of mocking and very creepy. And most people won't understand that if you really have the knowledge or experience and understanding all this stuff. But that is the point of the EVP. That is why I don't think it's fake. And even if they don't know it, it's major coincidence that they came up with it. But I do not think that's fake, and this is the reason why, because it's mocking the Bible scripture where it talks about that. So on to number 3 of the video, which goes along with what I was just saying, a legion of demons, and this is a very interesting video right here. Now I have this guy, Abandoning Minds YouTube channel on my favorite list, and the reason is because he does strictly minds. He doesn't really do paranormal stuff. This is one of the reasons why I don't think this guy is making this stuff up. So his knowledge of minds would be incredible, but I don't think he's a paranormal type of person, because that's just not what he does. What he's doing in this video is he's showing this flashlight that he's selling. I don't know if he's not selling, he's promoting it, and he's showing how well it works. But in this video, you start hearing whispering. And like I said earlier about hiding in abandoned mines, and the reason I mentioned the voice of many waters is because in the Bible, it says in Revelation 1, and this is very interesting, because demons can take on different voices at different times. Like they said, many legions in a body that was cast out of pigs, and which means several. So, and everyone knows that has been involved in this and that understands how this works, knows that they have a tendency of making several different voices. They imitate other people's voices, so on and so forth. They can make all kinds of different voices at once. People have experienced this. Priests have dealt with this. Anyone that's involved in this knows that that's what they do.
All of this rock, you can see right here where some of these boards are bending. Do you hear that? Sounds like, what, is that wind? I don't know if you can hear that on the camera. Do you hear that? It stopped. Wow. I don't know what that is. That doesn't sound like wind, but that's crazy. Don't know if that's a bird or I don't know what that is. It almost sounds like snakes, but wow. I've heard some weird stuff in mines, but that is definitely creepy. I don't know what that is. So let's get out of here and head back out to the portal. That was weird.
And even in Revelation 1 verse 15 says, and his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters. Now, you mentioned in 12, I turned to the voice that spoke with me, and being turned, I saw even golden candlesticks in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with garment down to the foot, and girt about the paps with a golden girdle. His head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were the flame, as a flame of fire, and his feet under like fine brass, and voice of many waters, blah, blah, blah.
Well, I think I keep hearing something. That was strange. I hear the air blowing here. Wow. Anyway.
But if it is possible that this can happen, then it is possible that demons can take on the voice of many waters and imitate all kinds of different voices and so on and so forth, and being the fact that they hide in abandoned places, and everyone has experience in knowing how they work and how this happens. So it kind of coincides with a lot of what it says in the Bible and so on and so forth. And when I seen this video, it automatically, and sometimes it just clicks. You just know it. You can't really explain it, but you just know it. Because sometimes when you go through certain things, there's a familiar sound, sight. It has a familiar feel to it, and you just know right off the bat that this is what it is. There's a certain MO that they have, and you just know it. You can feel it. You can tell. As soon as I heard this, I knew Prince of the Power of the Air. But one thing I know for certain is during the it does say in the Bible about Satan being the prince and the power of the air. And what I mean by that is there have been all kinds of certain circumstances where there are times they manipulate radio signals, Wi-Fi. Radio signals they've been manipulating for eons, as well as electromagnetic waves, things like that. There have been situations where people have had, including me, radios that come on for no reason, turn off for no reason, signals coming in that shouldn't be coming in. Not too long ago, I had a radio blasting through a speaker, a surround sound speaker that should have not have come on. I've had that happen. And I've always had this kind of power over and radio signals and radio waves. So to hear this next video, when it's the same guy that goes into a tunnel and he hears a radio signal, brings a real familiar sound to it, because it is not uncommon for them to manipulate radio signals or make radio sounds or things of that nature. So he went into this mine. He came out of this mine. You can tell there was no one else in the mine but him. The mine does dead end, because you can look at several videos of other people going in the mine where it dead ends. And these signals you can hear in the background used to scare him away, to frighten him off. And it does say in French, I believe, "What are you doing here? Get out or I'll kill you," or something like that. Basically a threat that he's getting through these radio signals. And that does tend to happen. Maybe the theory is they can't speak directly. I don't know, and they use radio signals. Who knows? Don't really care, but it does happen. And it's a very common thing in the field, so to speak. They do this quite a bit.
Okay, here's a final parting shot of the end of the Horton Tunnel. And there's the ore pass with all the cascading water. And what the fuck is that? I don't know what that was, but there was a sudden blast of cold air, and I'm getting out of here.
And by the way, this is not the first time this has happened. This has happened several times, and one other time with him, a few other times with other people. So it does happen in that mine. But the strange thing about it is just the radio waves itself. It's been known to happen, the sounds of radio and things like that. I don't know how he could have faked it. It's possible, but I don't see how he could have if... I mean, that's not something you can make up with your own mouth, that's for sure. Maybe he stopped the video and he walked all the way over there and did it, but it's virtually impossible. But either way, one thing's for sure, that does happen, because it's happened to me. Not in that particular place or that particular sound, but something similar. And others have had that same experience. So that is pretty much the MO of what they do as well. So long time ago, when I lived in a place that was not so nice, so to speak, I did my own research, and over the years I've kind of done my own research on this, and I've learned that for some strange reason, I don't know why, and after I seen this video, it's been confirmed, because I thought I was the only one that noticed this, but apparently not. But a long time ago, I done my own research, and I noticed before the poo hit the fan, so to speak, I would always, well, there were a few times, I wouldn't say always, but there were a few times that before something hit the fan, I would hear snaps. I always hear snaps of the fingers, and the reason, well, actually, I don't know the reason, but something would always happen, or things would get loud, or things would get active quite a bit. It was one of those situations where when that happened to me, I know things are about to get bad. But it doesn't always happen that way. So I don't know why it happens. I don't know why they do it. Maybe maybe certain ones, maybe they're supposed to warn you. I don't know. I don't know the reason behind it. But I thought, like I said, it was me. And it turns out I haven't seen this video at the time. I didn't know anything about it. But years later, after I seen this video, it kind of stunned me, because I realized I wasn't the only one that went through this. There were others that have gone through this same situation before, it hit the fan. And I want to warn you that if it does happen to you, then I would suggest you get out. Leave as soon as possible. Don't play with it. Don't taunt it. Don't do anything like that. And in the end, this tells me that they didn't fake it, because I went through the exact same thing. So there is no way they could have known about this or made this up, especially after what I've been through. Maybe they saw the video and made it up themselves and said, oh, he's doing it, I can do it to him. Who knows the reason behind it, but all I know is it's too coincidental.
This bungalow in the sleepy harbor town of San Pedro, California, is the site of one of the most bizarre poltergeist encounters ever recorded. A woman, who we'll call Jackie, and her 2 infant children have been living with what she believes is an evil presence. Then one day, her fears become reality. As cameraman Barry Conrad shoots this video, a strange red liquid of unknown origin begins oozing from the house.
It was coming out of everywhere. It was just dripping out of the walls.
Everyone just left except us. Things are starting to drip out of the cabinets. Nobody believes us, but it's happening.
There it is.
There it is, right there. It's dripping.
A few days later, life in Jackie's home becomes even more chaotic.
Things just started happening around the house. Objects were being thrown, the kids' toys thrown around, you hear noises.
Finally, Jackie can take no more. She leaves Barry Conrad this frantic message.
I'm not staying here, Barry. I'm out of here. I gotta get out of here. I can't stay here.
Barry and his team rush to the scene. Jeff Wheatcraft and a photographer, Gary Bohm, spend several months investigating the mysterious sounds coming from the attic. It's a decision they will soon live to regret.
I feel a little queasy about going up there, but then I guess I'll go up. If I got a partner, why not so bad?
I try and tell them, whatever it is, it doesn't want us here, it doesn't want you here, it doesn't want me here. Let's just get out of here.
Suddenly, they hear a strange noise coming from above.
There were 3 snapping sounds, and they were clear as bell. And they were in my left ear, and they went like this.
The men claim at that moment they were attacked.
What's wrong? What happened?
I told you, get down, get down!
This isn't a good idea.
This isn't a good idea.
We gotta get out of here.
Jeff, please get down.
I gotta get out of here.
Whoa.
It's definitely raising up.
Jeff, please come here. Get this for us. Get the mic. Jeff, here you go, buddy. Here you go. What the hell happened? Are you okay, buddy? God. Look at his neck. Jeff, what's behind your neck?
I don't know what's on my neck.
A piece of rope. Gary, get down out of there.
At first I saw the look of terror on his face. It was just, he was just terrified. His glasses were gone. And then we saw something like a cord that was around his neck.
It ended up over my head like this, and then it was twisted like this. I don't know how far or to what degree, but I know it was twisted because it was tied around my neck. And then it was hung up over the nail on one of the cross members that go across the attic.
The flash of Gary's camera lights up the attic and captures what appears to be an assault.
Here's a picture of his neck.
Look at this. Look at his neck. Oh, my God.
There were rope burns in his neck. He was in shock. He didn't know what had happened to him. He remembers suddenly, blacking out for an instant.
Yeah, Jeff, what happened? Put something around my neck.
When I look back on the whole incident, I knew that it's possible I could have been close to death. There's no question about that.
3 snapping sounds, and they were clear as bell. And they were in my left ear, and they went like this.
Whatever it is, it doesn't want us here, it doesn't want you here, it doesn't want me here. You know, let's just like get out of here.
I couldn't believe I saw that. I couldn't believe when I seen it, because it was just really, really all too familiar. Anyway, this is why I tell people, do not do it. It is extremely dangerous. You don't know what you're dealing with. These things are thousands and thousands of times more powerful than you could possibly imagine. I don't care what Zach Baggins thinks. I don't care what anyone else thinks on TV. I don't care what these so-called demonologists, certain demonologists, think they know when they don't. Once you've been dealing with it all of your life, once you've been something that you can't, it's something that you can't get over at times, all you can do is just warn other people, and that's what I'm doing here. There are certain things they do. There are certain ways they do it. There are things they do that carry an MO that tell me, yeah, it's them. I've had people that were involved with them a little too closely, so to speak, that I know they carry the MO because they do the same thing, or they're involved with the same MO. People that are in the occult, people that are a little too close to worshiping this stuff. There are characteristics that they carry. There are ways they do it. This is something you should keep in mind. I suggest that you don't do it. I would say not to do it. I can't force people to do it. I know that a lot of people don't want to listen because you're taking away their adrenaline rush. You're taking away their fun. You're taking away their mystery and all that. All I can say is the advice is there if you want it. But don't say I didn't warn you, because it is there, and I'm not kidding. This stuff is extremely dangerous. I still deal with this. I draw myself closer to God as much as I can every day, and I think that's what you should do. I should think you should spend more time with the Bible in your hand, or reading it and being more involved in Bible study and prayer and being a part of God. Because the further you're away from God, the easier it is for them. So anyway, I appreciate everybody watching, and I hope all is well in your neck of the witnesses. Thanks for watching. Be sure to listen to the station 24/7, Reverse 96 FM. Google it. I am on TuneIn, Reverse 96 FM. You can just Google it. It's there. I'm also on Facebook, Mike GoScatter. Everything is on the description on the bottom. Like I said, these are not my videos. I don't claim to keep them. They get the credit for all of it. I'm just here for a teaching tool. And I appreciate everybody being a part and taking the time out and spending the time watching the videos. So I shall do more in the future. So for now, thank you, everyone, and I will talk to you later. Keep fighting a good fight. Trust in God and trust in your faith.